warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So our group will be presenting about full system of renewable energy source, wind turbine. So this is our group members. The first one we have Andi Akil Nazif. We have Atila Nur Manisha, Muhammad Syafiq Haikal, and the last one Muhammad Aiman Hakim.
Hi, I'm Muhammad Syafiq Haikal bin Muhammad Sofian. I will continue this presentation by explaining the overview of wind turbine and its significance. It is common knowledge that a wind turbine is a large fan, but they do not know how it functions, what components are involved, how much power it produces. So, in this video, all that have been mentioned just now will be explained.
A few moments later.
Wind turbine is a mechanism that converts wind energy to electric energy. To produce the electric energy for consumer, the wind turbine should turn 13 until 20 revolution per minute (rpm). This turn of wind turbine is not working all the time, but it depends on the strength of wind flow. For the information, one wind turbine have life expectancy more than 25 years. As a result, the government can save the financial and budget for changing the wind turbine every 5 years, for example. As we know, our current era is getting more advances with technological and digital advances. So for the endurance of wind turbine, it is also depend on the technological advances, which is our wind turbine today is more durable than in the past. Why the wind turbine is important? We do not even know what is the reason for the importance of wind turbine in our country, but I will explain about that. So, first important is for employment. With the existence of the wind turbine industry, it provides a large opportunity to employ their own people. For the example, if the wind turbine industry is expanded in Malaysia, the government can hire Malaysians who are still employed or are still frantically looking forward. Besides that, wind turbine also can create many long-term job opportunities that require many workers in various departments in the industry. Without realizing it, this good effort has regarded the future of young people. If the wind turbine industry expands in Malaysia, of course it can help countries improve their economy in the long run as well. In today's unstable economic situation in Malaysia, this recommendation is very important to restabilize the country's financial system. For the analysis by the Global Wind Energy Council, at 2019 show that the one power industry can deliver more than 3 million new jobs over the next 5 years. Second, wind turbine is a long-term solution. Wind turbines are said to be a long-term solution in supplying electricity because the wind resources are not limited and will remain as long as the world continues to rotate. Unlike the fuel and gas, both of them will run out one day if the management of the energy resource is not carried out well and wisely. Other than that, wind turbines also have the potential to significantly reduce carbon emission. The reduction of carbon emissions by vehicles can be achieved by phasing out the use of fossil fuel cars over the next decade. If more wind turbines are created, it is better to produce electric and carbon-free cars or vehicles because the source of electricity is safer without polluting the air. And for the lastly, wind turbines use little water to generate electricity. This is because wind turbines need more wind as a source of electricity generation compared to the water. Wind turbines can also preserve the dwindling water supply. In fact, there are wind turbines that have been modified to produce drinking water from humid air sources, called oil water. Tibal Janin, director of marketing at Oil Water, says that this technology could enable rural areas to become self-sufficient in terms of water supply. Not to be forgotten, wind turbines do not produce radioactive waste or greenhouse gases that will have a negative impact of the environment.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Aiman Hakim and I will be talking about scientific explanation about wind turbine. Firstly, I will explain the process when wind hit the turbine blade. When the wind strikes the rotor blades, the blades start rotating. Airfoil-shaped blades cause to generate lift that becoming force that produce electricity. However, the wind strikes the blade at a relative angle. Hence, the blades are designed incorporating twists and angles to take advantage of the angular momentum and trap as much as possible the energy. Then, the speed of the input must be amplified. Turbine rotor at blade is connected to a high-speed gearbox. Gearbox amplifies rotor rotation to high speed. The high-speed shaft from the gearbox is coupled with the rotor of the generator and hence the electrical generator runs at a higher speed. Exciter is used to give the required excitation to the magnetic coil of the generator field system so that it can generate the required electricity. The produced voltage at output terminal of the alternator increases when the speed and field flux of the alternator increases. Lastly, how to control non-uniform wind speed that hit the turbine. Excitation must be controlled according to the availability of natural wind power to maintain the uniformity of the output power from the electrical generator or alternator. A turbine controller that detects wind speed regulates the exciter current. The electrical generator's output voltage is then sent to a rectifier which converts to DC voltage. After being rectified, the DC output is delivered to a line converter unit which uses a step-up transformer to change it into a stabilized AC output that is then fed to the transmission grid or electrical transmission network. Internal supply unit is used to give the power to internal auxiliaries of wind turbine like motor and battery. The electricity flows through cables in the tower to a transformer at the base of the wind turbine. The transformer amplifies the voltage for large-scale distribution. So this is the block diagram showing important part in wind turbine. For example, gearbox, generator, exciter and internal supply unit.
Assalamualaikum, I'm Andy and I will explain about the detailed exploration of full system of renewable energy source which is wind turbine. The first thing are the blades and the rotor. When the wind is blown over them, the blades will lift and rotate causing the rotor to spin. The function of a rotor blade is to capture the kinetic energy of the wind and convert it into the rotational energy. The design of the blades is to maximize the amount of energy captured while minimizing drag the turbulence. The material used in the construction of rotor blades offer the combination of strength, stiffness, and low weight, while the rotor is made of the combination of hub and the blades. Secondly is gearbox. The gearbox increases the rotational speed of the turbine's rotor to drive the generator at the required speed. So that rotational speed required by most generators to produce electricity. Thirdly is the generator. The function of the generator of wind turbines is converting the rotational energy into the electrical energy. Fourth is high speed shaft and low speed shaft. High speed shaft, the function is drive the generator. Within the generator, there is an armature, which is a coil of copper that is connected to the high speed shaft. While low speed shaft, the function is the rotor turns the low speed shaft at about 30 to 60 RPM rotation per minute, and the low speed shaft is connected directly to the rotor of the wind turbine. The difference between high speed shaft and the low speed shaft is the low speed shaft revolves considerably more slowly than the high speed shaft. Next is anemometer. In the anemometer, the wind speed was measured and the wind speed data will be transmitted to the controller. Next is controller. The function of controller in the wind turbine is control the wind turbine to do not operate if winds above roughly 55 miles per hour, which is same as 88.51 km per hour because of the risk of damage that will happen. Other than that, we have pitch system. The function is to prevent the rotor from turning in winds that are too high or too low to generate electricity by turning the blades away from the wind. Next is the brake. The rotor mechanically, electrically, or hydraulically will be stopped in emergencies by brake of the wind turbine. Is wind vane. What happens in wind vane is wind vane will measure wind direction and communicates with the yaw drive to orient the turbine properly with respect to the wind. Next, we have yaw drive and yaw motor. The function of yaw drive is to utilize to maintain the rotor facing the wind when its direction shift, while yaw motor is to power the yaw drive. Last but not least, the important part of the wind turbine is the tower. Wind speed increases with height. Taller towers enable turbines to capture more energy and generate more electricity. And that's why tower is functioned to support the structure of the turbine.
Hi, I am Atila and I will continue with the example of real-world implementation. Firstly, we have Texas Wind Energy Farms, USA. Texas is a major hub for wind energy in the United States. Several wind farms and wind turbine installations across the state contribute to its renewable energy portfolio. These wind farms are often integrated into the Texas grid, supplying electricity to millions of homes and businesses in the state. Secondly, we have Horns Rev 2 offshore wind farm, Denmark. Horns Rev 2 is an offshore wind farm located in the North Sea off the coast of Denmark. The project features a cluster of wind turbines that generate electricity from the strong North Sea winds. The energy is transported to the mainland through undersea cables and integrated into the Danish grid, providing power to the Danish household. And lastly, we have Gansu Wind Farm, China. The Gansu Wind Farm is one of the largest wind energy projects in the world, located in the Gansu province of China. It incorporates thousands of wind turbines across a vast area, both onshore and in the Gobi Desert. The energy generated is transmitted to various parts of China through an extensive transmission network, contributing significantly to China's renewable energy capacity.
Next, I will continue with the advantages of wind turbine. First, wind turbines are cost effective. This is because wind turbines are becoming more cost competitive for electricity generation compared to traditional fossil fuel based one. Electricity generation using fossil fuels is more expensive than using existing wind turbine. Wind turbine installation costs and maintenance costs have been significantly reduced. The cost can be reduced because the wind turbine that is ready to be installed can work for more than 35 years. If there is a problem with the wind turbine, it may not require a high cost to fix it because it does not cost the entire wind turbine to be affected. Secondly, wind turbine are a clean and renewable resource. Wind turbine are a clean source of electricity that does not emit greenhouse gases or pollutant. Indirectly, wind turbine can save greenery and the well-being of the environment. Besides that, wind turbine also contribute to the reduction of climate change by reducing dependence on fossil fuel. This is because the use of fossil fuel will release carbon waste that will harm the environment and humans. The wind turbine industry can also generate jobs for production and installation to operation and maintenance. The job that will be offered involve various departments with different function and tasks. All the scope of work from the factory to the installation of the wind turbine will cause the industry to open many job opportunities. If the wind turbine industry wants to be implemented, it needs a large area of land. Therefore, this industry can help the local economy by providing tax money and less payment to landowner. Although the wind turbine industry offers many benefits as a renewable energy, it also has its potential obstacles. The first is infrastructure and grid integration. The expansion of wind turbine sites required large investment in grid infrastructure. It requires a very large area of land to erect a wind turbine that will supply electricity to consumers. Those wind turbines need to bring electricity from remote wind farms to areas where consumers live. For this reason, the area of the infrastructure sites is very important in guaranteeing the supply of electricity supply insufficient. The second is land and wildlife effect. The second challenge is related to the first challenge. The cultivation of one turbine requires a lot of land. If a lot of land is needed, then the forest will be cut down and cleared for the implementation of the infrastructure. This matter can have an impact on the ecosystem and the habitat of wildlife that originally their habitat is in the forest, but for the sake of sufficient electricity resource, their habitat is sacrificed. This will also affect the survival of wildlife and they will feel threatened by humans. Therefore, careful planning and the selection of suitable sites are very necessary to reduce the extinction of wildlife habitats that are becoming extinct in this era of modernization. Without the intelligent planning, the environment will be affected due to ecosystem instability. The last challenge is intermittency and variability. The amount of electricity produced by the turbine is affected by wind speed, which is can vary. As explained in the introductory section earlier, a wind turbine can rotate as much as 13 until 20 rate per minute (rpm). For this statement, we can see that the turbine does not have a specific amount of rotation. This is because the wind have different speeds every day and also seasonally. Because of that, this industry need an effective way for maintain a stable and reliable electricity supply. A possible step that can be done is to upgrade the turbine engine so that it can rotate more. In the search for information on this topic, I was very surprised to see the development of one turbine that will be implemented. The development of one turbine involved turbine in two different places, namely onshore and offshore. Onshore means a turbine on the land, while offshore is a turbine in the sea. According to the International Renewable Energy Agency (IRENA), onshore wind power's cumulative installed capacity must be increased globally by a factor of more than 3. For the information, in 2018, the installed capacity of onshore wind turbines was 542 gigawatt. However, IRENA want to increase the capacity, which in 2013, the current installed capacity is 1,787 gigawatt. In 2015, the capacity will be further increased to 5,044 gigawatt. Meanwhile, the global cumulative installed capacity for offshore wind generation turbine would nearly triple. For the information also, in 2018, the installed capacity is 228 gigawatt, and IRENA want to upgrade it to be 1,000 gigawatt as the installed capacity of offshore wind turbine.
There are some innovations that can be implemented to enhance the wind turbine. Firstly, build taller tower for wind turbine. Higher hub heights have stronger winds, so longer blades require more clearance to reach those high altitude winds. Next, inventing climbing crane that facilitate more effective turbine installation and major component replacement. It is more cost effective than conventional cranes. Lastly, use wake steering technology. It is a controller that tilt or turn the direction of wind turbine phase and modify generator speed. Usage of this technology will allow existing facilities to gain 1 until 2% in annual energy production.
In conclusion, wind energy is very effective in this era of digitalization and modernization in maintaining the well-being of green Earth. If the production of electricity is still dependent on fossil fuel, it will cause the harm and will run out of energy because the fossil fuel is non-renewable energy. In addition, the wind energy have many positive effects in the advancement of industry and technology, as well as the well-being of the earth. This is because with the advancement of industry and technology in wind turbine, this matter can be used as a carrier.